Welcome to our sugary journey through the history of bubblegum. Have you ever wondered how this chewy delight came to be? Well, let's find out. This is All Request History, the history of bubblegum. It all started with chewing gum, which dates back thousands of years. The ancient Greeks chewed mastic tree resin, while the Mayans and the Aztecs enjoyed chicle, a chewy bark from the spodilla tree. As the Europeans colonized the New World, indigenous natives taught them to extract material from the spruce tree in strips to chew the resin for a way to freshen their mouth or clean their teeth. There was no Oral-B back in those days. Maine native John Jacob Curtis was the first to make a commercial gum to sell for profit, and it was around 1827. He boiled the spruce tree resin, cleaned it, cut it into strips, and packaged it. In the 1850s, Thomas Adams, a New York inventor, made a breakthrough by experimenting with chicle and creating gum that could be easily mass-produced. Later in the 19th century, thanks mostly to William Wrigley of Chicago, Wrigley Field, chewing gum became a popular treat in the U.S. and has developed a number of flavors, styles, names, and packaging as it continued to evolve. Now here's a question. What country chews the most bubblegum? The answer is coming up. Now, the real game changer came in 1928 when an accountant from Philadelphia named Walter Dimer, he worked for the Fleer Chewing Gum Company, and he accidentally invented bubblegum. He was experimenting with different types of gum-based materials like chicle and tree sap, and stumbled upon a formula that was too thick and sticky. After tasting it, it stuck to his mouth, his gums, and his lips. While chewing it and trying to unstick it from his teeth, a bubble formed and popped. He knew immediately he was onto something. His bosses at Fleer were very impressed, and the company got to work right away on their new creation called Double Bubble. In fact, the gum was made in a pink color because Dimer later admitted that it was the only coloring he had on hand that day. When Fleer introduced the new invention at a Philly grocery store, they sold out of the entire batch that they had brought with them. The gum was mass-produced and sold across the U.S. for a penny apiece. Walter Dimer was assigned by the Fleer Chewing Gum Company to train their salespeople to blow bubbles to demonstrate the product. After World War II, Double Bubble got their first competition. The Tops Company began making a bubblegum called Bazooka. Kids had been a target market since its conception, so Tops wrapped their product in a wax-coated comic strip for kids to enjoy immediately after opening the packaging and pop the gum into their mouth. Walter Dimer did become the vice president of the Fleer Chewing Gum Company, but unfortunately never received any royalties for his invention. His wife, Florence Dimer, said in an interview later, after his death, that Walter was never really upset about that. She said he was terrifically proud of it, and he would say to her, "I've done something in my life. I've made kids happy around the world." After World War II, bubblegum remained most popular with kids. Bazooka, featuring comic strips, and of course, Tops offered a piece of bubblegum enclosed in each packet of their baseball cards. Double Bubble remained the standard for decades, but in the 60s, a few others gained some popularity like Golden Mine Nuggets. And the colorful zebra on TV convinced us to get his fruit-striped gum. The 70s brought us a packet of treats. First it's candy, then it's gum. Concord Confections from Chicago, Illinois brought us Razzles. In New Jersey, the Charms Company introduced the Blow Pop in 1973. Although better known for chocolate, Hershey brought us a very big hit with bubblegum lovers, Bubble Yum. A gum that had a liquid center was created in the 70s. It was called Freshen Up, but somehow the sensation of a raw egg yolk oozing into your mouth after biting your gum didn't really catch on. The 80s were all over the place with bubble gum. There was Hubba Bubba, Bubble Tape, Bubblicious, Big League Chew, and even some soda gum that was offered in the popular flavors of soda, Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, and root beer. A gum that was very popular in the 80s made dentists and most parents cringe. The Big Buddy was actually introduced in the 60s, but really it took off with the consumerism of the 1980s. It was a long stick of bubblegum that was packaged in a wrapper printed to look like a 12-inch ruler. It was probably not intended to be consumed all at once, but let's face it, it almost always was. Imagine the bubble you could get from this entire 12-inch chunk of gum. If that wasn't enough, it was also offered in an 8-pack, featuring all 8 flavors of your Big Buddy. Speaking of large amounts of bubble gum, the largest bubble ever blown was 20 inches in diameter. That's like the size of a beach ball. It was awarded to Chad Fell in Alabama in 2004. Chad reported that no Big Buddy was needed, and his bubble was the product of 3 pieces of regular old double bubble. You might remember the song about chewing gum by Lonnie Donegan from 1956. But of course, there's an entire category of music called bubblegum pop. It was a phrase used to describe songs geared toward school kids and preteens, the type of audience that enjoyed bubblegum most. Think the Partridge Family, the Archies, and the Monkees. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. In later years, it could be argued that the bubblegum music category was also made up of novelty songs and one-hit wonders. Some other bubblegum fun facts. The gum rated as best for bubbles is Double Bubble. The gum with the longest lasting flavor, Bubble Yum. It lasted an average of 3 minutes and 10 seconds per piece. This is interesting. It's illegal to chew bubblegum in Singapore. And the most expensive brand is Mastika Gold Gum with offices worldwide. And did you guess what country chews the most bubblegum? It's Iran. According to confectionarynews.com, 82% of Iranian population chew gum regularly. It's followed by Saudi Arabia at 79% and the US at only 59%. Today, bubblegum comes in many flavors and varieties. Whether it's classic pink, minty fresh, or even sour, there's a bubblegum for everyone, no matter what age. So the next time you pop in a piece of bubblegum and blow a bubble, remember the sweet history behind this timeless treat.